start right away with the obvious kind of the challenge in manufacturing is this picture here. This is the portfolio of all therapeutics that are in Amgen's pipeline, clinical and commercial. It's a huge portfolio. We are not just an antibody company, and dealing with this is quite complex. And at this point, I want to make you 3 promises for tonight. The first promise is I will not provide you with a solution to any of the process technical details around any of these molecules. The solutions you will hear today, however, are so simple and so universal. They are process independent, often not really relevant to our, important for our, tied to our industry. They're industry independent, and some of you will order tonight over Amazon to use it tomorrow. The third promise I will make you is that in the last couple of slides, we will venture into the future, and you will think differently about data leaving this talk or this conference. So let's kind of peel the onion here a little bit. You saw the big portfolio here. There was an antibody on there where the annual demand is up to 7 metric ton. There was a BiTE molecule where the annual demand is 7 grams. Both of them work in a fat batch, but you wouldn't choose to actually produce both of them in the same format or scale. It would be just uneconomically for one of the two here. There was another molecule on there that has a cold chain where only a few hours out of -70 degree has to be accomplished. So when you then kind of look at a commercial operation, you have a lot of different factors interplaying with each other here. It's not just about, can I make this particular kind of protein at a certain scale? It needs to be cost effective. There's a lot of other elements to it. So it gets to a quite complex picture here. And I'm trying to kind of simplify this a little bit for you. So the first and 2 foremost kind of topics are here, kind of in pillars, are safety and quality. This is your entry ticket. If as a facility you cannot assure safe operation for your staff or compliant operation, one of the many agencies that govern safety or quality will shut you down, regardless of how good of a protein or product you have. So this is your entry ticket here. Safety first, quality always. In a manufacturing environment at Amgen, we have 3 additional pillars here in perspectives around efficiency, reliability, and agility. And I put on the right side here a couple of more details what we mean with this. Efficiency, certainly you heard some talks today about cost. For us, it's cost per unit. Efficiency also translates into plant capacity optimization. I will show you a solution for that you can apply to your plants. And then reliability, certainly equipment, raw materials. Who has not had problems with equipment reliability or raw materials kind of reliability in their performance? When it comes to the category agility, I called out here 3 things. One is adaptive production technology. You saw in the picture before, these about 15 or so different molecules. Not all actually can be manufactured in the same plant, but some of them can be. But it's slightly different technologies that are deployed. So very quick changeovers are necessary. You need to have an adaptive production technology and cannot kind of develop only a single platform. It will not work for a company like Amgen. We have multiple processing and molecule platforms at our disposal that we deploy whenever needed. And the 2 I underlined here is, one often forgotten, rarely spoken about at conference, is the human capital. And then the last one where you might think, what is he meaning with this? Instantaneous global wisdom. Think about if you have to repair something in your household today and you never did this before. These days, you're not really looking at a manual. You hop online, you look at a YouTube video, you kind of select kind of 3-4 people that maybe showed how they repair this, and instantaneously you have gained knowledge. You've gone beyond data or information, and if you have multiple of these videos, you immediately have almost wisdom available to you. So this is what I mean with this, and we will talk about that towards the end of the talk. So when you look for practical and proven solutions in this field, anywhere in our normal life here, we expect quality, service, and reliability. And reliability is often the button that is not met right away. Although we think we have a reliable kind of new solution in front of us, often what we have in front of us is what I call the green banana. and many of our suppliers have me present this slide to them. I've seen this too, that I showed this to them. Because often we don't understand fully what is the defect rate of a new connector, for instance, or any of these single-use components is a prime example where these are products that, although they might be practical and innovative for you, you need to be willing to mature this product with the supplier together, work hand in hand, recognize that there will be failures, sudden unexpected failures, where both of these teams have to work hand in hand to really mature this green banana. It's a green banana because banana's ripe at the customer. And that's why I choose the green banana here. Amgen certainly had our kind of fair share of a big container full of green bananas here, and this is one that many of my colleagues have already talked about. We got approved for our new manufacturing site in Singapore some time ago. This was something where we completely deployed a new way of manufacturing biologics. It's a highly intensified process that uses continuous perfusion processes in the upstream and connected downstream processing on the downstream side. We matured from our existing large-scale steel-based plants to this flexible modular platform approach where things can be connected together as they are needed for the different molecules. The plant was built in record time, is very small, but we had to kind of mature 15 green bananas along the way, and some of them are still slightly green. But this is kind of our lesson learned. When we invest into innovation, it will come with a cost, with a delay. We need to be ready for this. And I encourage all of you to be ready for this when you engage into something that maybe only one or two of your colleagues or competitors are using at this moment here. So the question is really, can a solution be innovative, proven, and practical at the same time? And when I mean proven in the manufacturing space, there's a big element of reliability behind that word. So the one thing I want to bring home to you is key to your success is your staff, your population of thinkers and doers. You need to harness this. You need to harness them and guide them in one direction to ultimately not be dependent on one or two people who maybe see something on a conference. You become almost conference independent or kind of going to venues like this if you have a large kind of group of this in your company. And when we talk about staff, we talk about cultures here. This is the directed, behavior driven culture here. What I show you on this slide is 3 cultures you will see when you come to any Amgen site, very pronounced. The first one is obvious safety. Safety is on all of our mind, is part of every shift change. Every start of the day starts with safety, recognizing again the hazards in the area that you are working in today, any unplanned work that is happening today, what are the safety measures around this, and getting and giving every staff member the power to kind of stop production if we encounter an unsafe situation in any of our laboratories or plants. The one at the far bottom is Innovation Plus. The plus is there out of a reason. Amgen is an innovation powerhouse since its inception. The plus really means we have moved beyond being innovative around a particular molecule. We are looking very holistically at the device, at the application, at what the patient is actually receiving in the product, in the device. So we go way beyond the process. We even go beyond these device kind of areas. We look into data areas, and you see this in a couple of moments here. The one that you can immediately deploy tomorrow if you have a larger operation is the operational excellence, proven since 20 years in the automotive industry. You can just copy and paste. It's totally proven, works in our industry beautifully as well. You might have to adapt a few things to your particular plant operation, but there are libraries written over operational excellence and how to kind of hone a culture that continuously recognizes where they can improve, and everybody in that kind of organization is ready to kind of move the operation one step further. This is a journey that Amgen started 7 years ago. We had one hard restart along the way because we didn't get it right started. But now this is working really nicely. We have divided this into 4 phases here. Most of the enterprise is right now operating in the pull and integration phase, where we have stable operations in our individual functions. We have lowered the water level to identify waste. We're continuously eliminating waste. We are right now kind of reverting from manufacturing for shelf and for inventory, actually waiting for a pull signal from a clinical, from a patient, and ultimately the integration with all of our suppliers kind of working in this fully integrated end-to-end enterprise. So here comes the aha moment that I had 6-7 years ago, where I, since up to that point, only attended biotech conferences. The last 6 years, I didn't go to any biotech conference. I spent all of the travel dollars to go to other companies, other industry conferences, and learn what they are doing. So, and my big recognition is, and many of my fellow plant managers have this as well, many proven solutions are outside our own space. You will not find them necessarily at a venue like this. You find them if you go to another industry, and all of a sudden you recognize this is applicable to me as well. I can just kind of copy and paste this here, and it works. So in the next couple of slides, I will show you some of these very easy examples that we adopted here at this plant here in Rhode Island. It's still among one of the largest drug substance manufacturing plants in the world. Amgen acquired the site in 2002. We built a couple of new buildings. This is one of the buildings. It's about 2.5 soccer fields large of a production plant. Has 9 15,000-liter main production vessels. I can use all of my seed vessels as well as production vessels. We operate without any interruption, a 4-shift operation, capable of concurrent multi-product operations. And of course, we are commercial and late stage. There's about 500,000 liters of buffer and media capacity that I can draw from. And you will see a little bit later our tech time, or the time in which we complete a lot and the lot leaves the plant, is on average 3 days. We have some products where every 2 days a lot is manufactured. In other ways, it's 4, 5, or 6 days. On average, it's 3 days for the plant. We are on track to produce 2 metric tons this year of drug substance across 10 different molecules. So here's a couple of things that you can buy at Amazon, and it helps you a lot. So let's start with the top right one. That's if you have a big utility yard or something. This is really an acoustic guided greasing pump here, very simplistic. But it helps you to avoid over-greasing of your big machines, rotating machines here. The one many people really like is the infrared camera. Little $200, well right now it's $400, the better model, $400 add-on for your iPhone. You no longer have to dismantle valves. You can just kind of check if the valve is correctly working by taking a photo with the infrared camera. And you can just send your mechanics out in the field to routinely check. It's much faster than anything else we have deployed before here. The red kind of one on the bottom left one, this is the 3D printer. We are right now have our 3rd generation of 3D printer. On site, we use 3D printing for everything from rapid prototyping to building custom holders. This one here, we went through a couple of iterations. It was very tight space of this valve cluster here before we actually had it manufactured in stainless steel to get the ergonomic fit and handle kind of really right before we then invested into the stainless steel. The iPhone in the middle, it's hard to see. There's a little white tile tag there. We have about 270 kind of small pieces of equipment floating in the plant. They need to be calibrated every 6-12 months. Sometimes it's hard to find them if you have a plant of this size here. So all of them have right now a tag. We can locate each equipment instantaneously where it's hidden in the plant. 2-dimensional kind of codes here. You can go to many of our equipment, kind of scan the code, immediately have all engineering documents on your iPad ready. The drone was certainly a highlight every time we have visitors. This is our second drone here with a 4K camera. We no longer build scaffolds to inspect our buildings. The drone is flying through a pre-programmed route to inspect all of our buildings after a bad storm, inspect the entire property for damage. We can then send our mechanics targeted out into the field. So these are all things you can buy tonight and surprise your boss next week. This is a little bit more expensive and will take you a little bit more time, but it's also proven in companies like Coca-Cola and big high throughput kind of companies. We utilize a proven plant capacity software to optimize the run rate or takt time. Here you see an example of what we did over the last 5 years deploying this software here. You see these 6 products on the right side with a particular kind of plant time that these lots, this little campaign is using up. And by using the optimizer in the software, we can actually find new ways of connecting particular unit operation, often cleaning sequences in a different way. And we gained here in total 57 plant days. 57 plant days with a product that I can produce in a 2-day sequence. That's a lot of money and a lot of capacity that we gained with the software here. So a couple of years ago when we built the Singapore site, we also encountered the great benefit of the internet and remote kind of collaboration and working. And this was one of the first examples here. First experience with global real-time monitoring and intercontinental work center teams. Work center teams is the daily meeting cascade that is occurring on all of our commercial and clinical plant sites. It's a daily cascade where you meet with across functions. You talk about the key metrics for the operation, and then you kind of cascade this down. What you see in the picture here is 2 Rhode Island staff looking at the WFI loop in Singapore, because when this site was built in Singapore, we had some kind of trouble for a couple of months with our WFI loop, but couldn't fly out all of the people at a moment's notice to the other side of the world here. So we did all of this kind of remotely, troubleshooting, real-time kind of their WFI loops here from Rhode Island. So I want to talk about Industry 4.0. Many of you might have not heard about Industry 4.0. I think about if you haven't heard about Industry 4.0, it's probably a signal or an indication that you're not looking broad enough. Industry 4.0 is the 4th industrial revolution. It's ongoing since 2.5 years, driven by automotive companies and other kind of industries. The key thing on this is really leveraging data, going beyond what you are probably all very familiar with, robotic assembly lines in an automotive company. There are even companies where robots build robots. This one brings it to the next level and makes these individual robotics lines intelligent. They speak to each other. The entire facility becomes intelligent. This is what is behind Industry 4.0. And thanks to other industries who are already kind of plowed that way, we can now look into this industry and think about what of their approaches is actually applicable to us that we can just copy and get a more reliable, more proven kind of technology for us. The beauty for our industry compared to an automotive industry is we have grown up as an industry who was heavily data-driven. All of our knowledge has been built for 30 years based on data. The automotive industry actually has a harder time thinking about what data are relevant. For them, that is a big transition here. And you hear this when you attend those conferences. So let's talk a little bit about the future and recognize something. We heard earlier Mary talk about, we are still talking about cell culture. There's a reason for why we are still talking about cell culture, because our industry is still in this horizontal phase here. We maybe have reached with a couple of process technologies the beginning of something exponential, but by and large, our industry operates very, very linear. Important for us to recognize is that supporting industries and technologies around us have far surpassed the speed of our own kind of technology, processing technology. And the 3 main digital accelerators are processing power, probably heard about kind of Moore's law. There's another law that talks about bandwidth. There's a 3rd law that talks about storage. Storage, bandwidth, processing power has become so cheap. All of us, we are moving to the cloud. Nothing is really stored on a computer anymore because cloud storage is unlimited. It's very cheap. The same with bandwidth. We are moving away from these telephone lines and cables. It's now all fiber optic and so on. Important to recognize is these 3 digital accelerators are on an exponential curve. And hopefully I get my laser right. They're all operating here. All of these 3 digital accelerators are here. We are here. So what does this mean? If you have technology around you that kind of accelerates at a lightning speed, you can no longer be proactive. Proactive is not precise enough. You can be proactive, but what if you kind of got it wrong? You were thinking or acting proactively in a certain direction, but this technology has moved somewhere kind of in a different direction. You just missed it. Your strategy led you down a path of failure. So you need to really think about, how can I predict the future? So you have to become what I call preactive. And predicting the future, often we have a mental blockage here. We think it's not possible, but I can convince you, I will convince you that the future is predictable. So let's use the phone. The phone is a great example because it will be the computer of the future. We already know this. It's much more than a phone these days here. You see here listed on the right side all of the 8 pathways of technology advancement. It's a good checklist if somebody wants to kind of sell you a new piece of technology or a new version of something. Go at that list, go at the list, look at the list, check off what that new model does compared to the old ones. If you cannot check off 2 or 3 or 4 things on that list, you shouldn't purchase that model. It is not far enough advanced here. But let's come back to the phone. You see the clunky kind of brick on the right side, which was largely a phone, had a little color display here. These days, the iPhone is more than just a phone. It lives through its applications. So that makes it a very universal computer. Whatever application you put on, it makes it another kind of gadget, if you want to think about this. So I have an iPhone 6 somewhere there. Right now, everybody has an iPhone 7, iPhone 8, released in a couple of weeks, September 16th or so. That's their normal kind of release kind of cycle here. Does anybody in the room think there will not be an iPhone 9 after that? Or an iPhone 10? I'm pretty sure an iPhone 10 will show up because it would be called iPhone X, kind of the Latin number. It's a kind of great kind of advertisement that if I would work at Apple, I would not let go. But the key thing is about each of these iPhones is better than the other one. That's the key thing. So I went online last night and saw iPhone 8 gets face recognition built in. So the question is really, is anybody here in the room thinking about utilizing the face recognition? Or are we all purchasing the iPhone 8, dabble a little bit around, and we still use it as email and phone? It's really taking advantage of these new technologies that will come to us and proactively thinking about how can I use it, deploy it. Maybe this becomes my new kind of verification for a batch record, the face recognition, with much more information than a little kind of signature here. So 6 minutes and a couple of slides to go. So I want to convince you data is the new oil also for this industry. It's at par with the products that we are making, and is really harnessing and refining these data. That's, I think, is a transformational, a radical change that our industry will also very shortly see. But you need to kind of, like I said here, refine it to increase its value. You cannot just look at raw data here. So I give you a couple of examples here from Amgen here. Let's first look at the top right corner just to get the concept right here. You start with raw data out of a machine. You put the individual data points into context, and you elevate, you refine it to the information level. Now you do this kind of more and more and more across different molecules, different kind of sites, and you get really the knowledge level. Many of us gain knowledge after 10, 15, 20 years of working. These days, the new generation, we can give them knowledge kind of instantaneously in an afternoon of how a CHO cell is best built, how a best fat batch process looks in the world. Many of us needed 20 years to kind of figure this out. Now it's already kind of out there. And the next one is really the wisdom level. What you see there, kind of bottom right corner, is the Watson supercomputer. For a small data set, you can use it for free actually from IBM. You can get a monthly subscription for $30, gives you much more kind of data space to work with, or you get an enterprise kind of contract with them to really kind of pump millions of data points in. What you see on the right side is our enterprise data lake with the different elements of what is feeding into this. So think about a big lake of data where we go fishing. So let me kind of show a couple of examples of what we do here. Just a mile away from here, every day the Cambridge team looks at all operations, commercial operations worldwide. From all of our commercial operations, the process is tracked. Each lot has about 500 million data points associated with it at the end, and they are comparing this every day, tracking it against historical performance, calling up the site if a particular parameter is moving out of range or they see something kind of interesting. So this is something we just established 2 years ago, and since then use this very, very effectively. Here is another example, again, something, if you have a large enterprise, might be definitely worth to look into. This is run out of our Rhode Island plant. We monitor all HVAC systems in the enterprise. All HVAC systems are continuously monitored for performance. You can set filters like this one here. Is it in Rhode Island? There's a couple of other plants down here. There's one kind of in Ireland at the bottom here. It tells you how much is wasted on that day for that loop, so we can sort by where are the big cost wasters. The system is so intelligent, it actually tries to pinpoint what is the likely root cause. It provides the operator with a set of likely 3 or 4 root causes. You send the mechanic into the field, they check it out. If it is one of these 3, there's a feedback loop into the system. Next time it sees a signal like this, it will more precisely actually pinpoint the mechanic towards you need to change this. This has kind of helped us a lot for guided repair, but also just operating the HVAC system at a much kind of better cost point. We saved in the first year over $1 million in the enterprise deploying this software. Augmented reality. Here we switch a little bit into the future. At the top you see what I think is the next version of safety glasses here. And 3 examples we are working on is certainly 3D modeling. FATs kind of on a remote site or flying somewhere. We are moving very aggressively towards doing this remotely, 3D, putting on glasses, and not visiting actually that site here. Remote assistance here. It's hard to see a little bit, but here are 2 people, one person working, looks like a fill line or something like this, and another person kind of observing is being able to kind of point to the person, hey, you need to kind of tighten that kind of screw there a little bit or so. So they communicate remote assistance similar to our Singapore situation. Here is one that we are really kind of interested to deploy and have done some good pilots on. This is hands-free documents. So you have your glasses on, you approach the piece of equipment. I talked already earlier about the barcode that tells the system where you are. But now all of a sudden, rather than having SOPs on your iPad or if you still have paper on paper, now the batch record or the SOPs are actually floating in space. You can, with your finger, kind of flip through, stop at the right moment, get another document kind of there in your view field as well, while you still see the reality in front of you with this bioreactor. Hurdle for this one, when we did our pilots, was the glasses were still too bulky. They need to be brought down to this model that you see there, that you can actually buy, but it's not virtual reality model. So the key point is here, information and knowledge where it's needed, when it's needed. It's instantaneously there. There's no lot running and looking and searching. Really, time is your enemy in a manufacturing plant. So take-home message here. So I hope, first of all, I held true to my 3 promises here. Look for practical, proven solutions outside your industry. If you just swim in this little biotech bowl, you're missing out big time. Innovate through integrations from the outside. There's a huge unmet need, I think, in this industry here. Digital accelerators are changing the world with lightning speed. Use them, make them work for you, rather than just being an observer. Harness your data for knowledge and wisdom. Many of you are sitting on 10, 15, 20 years of data, but you never really spend time connecting this. There's already tools out there that connect this for you right now at very low cost. And the most important kind of take-home message, above all, invest in your people. They are the key to success. It's not a gadget, it's not a piece of equipment, it's your people. And they will thank you for making your place, like many of our Amgen staff, a great place to work. Amgen is very proud of getting this award on many of our sites every year, and we thank our staff for this. So please kind of think about that and think about your staff as you come home out of this conference.